Yes, we are live. Welcome back, my dear friends. This is episode number 91 on Zero Point Healing Show. And I'm Vishnupriya. Just a short intro about me before we get started. I'm a holistic healing practitioner myself. And I got inspired to create this kind of a platform, which I call the zeropointhealing.com. It is a web directory of all holistic healing practitioners, instructors, therapists, and it also consists of so many different holistic healing modalities today with more than 50 different modalities. So my kind of mission or vision with the platform itself is to bring together as many holistic healing practitioners as possible under one platform, so it gets easier for the clients to kind of find us and choose between so many different modalities and choose what it is that they would like to try on. And of course, these beautiful holistic healing modalities personally in my life has literally transformed my life. It transformed from where I was a few years back in complete darkness, I should say. And today it has brought me to a new world of new possibilities. And today, when I do have access to so many different modalities, I literally feel there isn't anything that I cannot do in this world, because these modalities serve as these beautiful tools. Any limitations that I have, that I see in my life, I have these tools that are so powerful and so many beautiful, I call them the angels, holistic healing practitioners who can actually assist me in transforming, in kind of jumping through the loops or the obstacles that I face in my life. So this has kind of empowered me. And I see that it is empowering the clients who's visiting the website as well. So that's the short intro about me and Zero Point Healing. With that, I have a beautiful guest for today, a PSYCH-K facilitator, and we're going to talk about the stress triggers and how we can overcome them. So welcome, Laura. Thank you so much for being with me today. So tell us a short brief about yourself, how you got entered into this beautiful holistic healing world. How did you become a PSYCH-K facilitator?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. You gave such a beautiful introduction to the work that you do, which I didn't know, so it was really nice to hear that. So I am actually in New York, and I am a life coach and a PSYCH-K facilitator. And interestingly enough, this was a whole new turn for me in terms of career. I had worked in marketing and product development in the beauty industry for many years before, so very, very different line of work, but always was very intuitive, always was able to get to the core of an issue very quickly. Like I just had this ability to see things clearly, and kind of knew I was supposed to be doing something more than just, marketing and creating cosmetics. It just, it's something that I finally decided I wanted to go and be trained professionally. And I did my life coach training. And because I have such a strong interest in quantum physics and the metaphysical world, I decided to specialize in law of attraction coaching, which is all about energy. The energy you put out is the energy you attract. And clients had a lot of success with that work. To me, I believe it's really the core into anything that we want to create in our life. And did that for a number of years and felt it was even something bigger. I wanted to have more of an impact. And it's really the way I look at it as it's really shifting consciousness. So I started hearing about PSYCH-K, which, by the way, for your listeners, stands for key to the psyche. Psyche being the mind, the key to actually what's going on behind the scenes. And a number of years ago, I had a podcast, and one of the people that I was fortunate enough to interview a few times was Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief and is pretty well known, who sang the praises of PSYCH-K in encouraging other people to try it in his own life. And I thought to myself, here's someone, a highly respected scientist, who was talking about the value of PSYCH-K. And I thought, I need to check this out for myself. The first day in the training of the basic workshop, I said, that's it. I've found my thing. And I went on to do the advanced levels of training, the health and well-being training. And I just have to say, it has changed my life in ways that I couldn't have even imagined. And so this is what I've dedicated myself to do now.
That's so beautiful. And my start point, how I discovered PSYCH-K was also exactly through Bruce Lipton. And I think I was watching this kind of a 7-minute video of him, which talks about, do this for last 10 minutes before you sleep and change your life. And I watched those videos of Bruce Lipton, and which spoke about reprogramming our subconscious mind and how PSYCH-K can help us do it. So that, I think, brings us to the title of today's interview, which is Overcoming Stress Triggers. And I love the word that you have chosen, which is limited belief programming. So tell us, first of all, where do these kind of stress triggers come from, and how it is kind of related to our belief programming?
So stress triggers can come from an experience that you had early in childhood. It can come from something that you were told about yourself or the world, which then you've taken on as being truth. So what happens is, whenever you think of either this thought of you're not good enough, so anytime you go to attempt to do something, you're going to have this stress of, well, wait a minute, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Who am I to believe I can do this? Or it could be an experience that you've had that was pretty traumatic. So now it is basically stuck in one hemisphere of the brain, whatever it was dominant at that period of time during the event. So you're not in a peaceful place about that event. So anytime you think of whether it was a car accident, whether it was a situation you had, you almost drowned, whether it was a sexual abuse, whatever it was, whenever you think of that experience, the body has memory of that, and you're going to feel stress. And there's probably not a person on the planet that doesn't have some stress trigger in their lives. They may not realize it, but when we test it, which is one of the beautiful things that you can do with PSYCH-K to see if there is stress in a body regarding an experience or a belief, the subconscious doesn't lie. The subconscious is pretty much like a computer program that you program, you give it information, and it's just going to tell you exactly what it was programmed. So once we discover what either a stress trigger or a limiting belief that's either getting in the way of creating something or creating stress in your life, we can actually transform that in a matter of minutes. I mean, that's the real beauty of this work. I mean, you've seen for yourself, you've done this work. It could be 5 to 10 minutes and you've pretty much neutralized that stress trigger, which means when you now think of this past event, you will not feel stress in the body. And this is one of the most mind-blowing things for people, because this can be something that they had for an entire lifetime. It could be 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And now when they think of it, it's almost like, well, who am I? Wow, I'm not the same person because I'm not reacting the same way. So you may for a while continuously have that thought, like, oh, wow, my God, I don't know if we're gonna have enough money this month. You may have the thought, and then you just say like, okay, so what? It's like, it's really that crazy. It's really like, all right, so what? And you almost can't explain why you're no longer worried about it. It's just gone. It's really amazing.
That's so beautiful. Now tell us a bit about PSYCH-K itself and what is in the session, right? How does this magic happen? So what is exactly happening in a PSYCH-K session?
Okay, so it's all done through muscle testing, okay? The same part of the brain that controls the subconscious controls our muscles, right? So we can ask it, right? Muscle test. If that statement causes any stress in the body, for example, for a belief, if you say, I am a millionaire, we muscle test it, and you're not a millionaire, that thought is going to create stress in the body because it knows that's not what it's been programmed to believe, okay? Test weak. Wait a minute, that's not true for me, okay? The same thing with a stress trigger. You know, you think of something, you muscle test, wow, there's stress in the body, it's gonna test weak. Something that is true will test strong. So it's all done through muscle testing. It's a little bit more, it becomes more of it is a spiritual practice to begin with, but becomes even more spiritual when we talk about distance work, which is when I surrogate the muscle testing, which is when basically I'm getting permission to muscle test for you. People that understand quantum physics know that there's an energetic field. All we're doing is my energy field is tapping into your energy field, and I'm able to muscle test for you. Sounds really crazy and far out there, but like I said, this is all scientifically based. If you understand quantum physics, you know it's not that crazy. So the way we do it is when we go into a whole brain state, which is part of the PSYCH-K protocol, which means the right and left hemispheres are in sync and they're talking to each other. It's called being in whole brained. It's more receptive to receiving new information. So what you can do is you can actually imagine that traumatic event from your past, now doing it from a whole brain state, or you can repeat a new belief, which you'd like to be true for you, again in this state, and the subconscious is now going to rewrite the programming in a sense. So you're putting in a new programming, you're deleting the old. If you look at it like a computer, it's like deleting an old document and putting a new one in and hitting save. Now we muscle test after, and it's going to test strong. And the subconscious is actually telling you, okay, got it. Now that belief is true for me. And that's just the beginning, because just because you have a subconscious belief that's not true for you, you just can't sit back and say, okay, great, like everything's now going to come to me. You have to take some action. But what you'll find is that the obstacles are now removed. The fear is removed. You find synchronicities happen. You find things just flow so much more easily because now you have this energy flowing of a belief that this is possible. So, I mean, there's no limits to really where you can go with PSYCH-K. I mean, it could be the most basic thing to how you want your day to go. I'm happy, I am joyful, to really overcoming major trauma that someone's experienced in their life.
Wow, beautifully said. And of course, one of the things that I really love is also the action steps. It's not just changing our subconscious beliefs, but the PSYCH-K sessions end with these beautiful action steps that we create, that we can now take. And as you mentioned, there's this change in the energy. Once we change that, subconscious beliefs about, let's say I programmed myself with, I am a millionaire, and then I go out into the world and then I offer the same services. But now I would see a different reality in front of me where clients are ready to pay me more, for example, or money comes from nowhere that I ever expected. So all of those magic and miracles starts happening, especially there comes that small action step, we can call it an inspired action that we need to take that allows the gates to open, so to speak. So that's a beautiful process. So now let's discuss about what kind of, let's say, a particular viewer of this call has a different types of problems or issues they might be facing in their lives at this time. So tell us what kind of, maybe you specialize in certain areas of life, or even PSYCH-K in general. Tell us what kind of issues or problems of a client can you solve, can you use PSYCH-K to help them?
It's a great question, because you can say everything, and yet what does that really mean? Everything also means nothing. Of course, a lot of people come with money issues, really common. Relationship issues. Believe it or not, a lot of just worthiness. Worthiness is the underlying kind of obstacle for many things, whether it's relationship, whether it's money, whether it's career, body image, losing weight, those kinds of things. It's, do I deserve? Can I do this? But one of the areas that I've had tremendous success, and I just have to briefly just share, a client that I worked with, is in terms of actually overcoming chronic illness and injuries and just health issues. That's like the most advanced level of PSYCH-K work, which you can actually get messages from the body with certain illness. So if there's something that your body is trying to get, well, more specifically than your body, that if there's an issue that's going on that is trying to get your attention, it's going to manifest in your body. You're going to start developing a symptom somewhere. Yeah, sometimes, of course, is it related to, you can catch a cold or whatever. There are external things, but many times it's trying to get your attention, and it's going to keep getting louder and louder until you pay attention to it. So what we can do is, and it's one of my favorite processes to work with people, one, because it's the most mind-blowing, and two, it's actually one of the most revealing things, and that is getting messages. And we ask the body, do you have a message in this condition or in this situation? And then we go through a whole series of questions and ways to determine what the message is. And there are different ways that we can get the message. When we get the message, it's usually something emotional that hasn't been dealt with, or situational. And once we discover what it is, we can balance for it. I had a client that I worked with quite a number of months. She had many, many serious health issues. She had 2 heart attacks. She was only in her 50s. She had diabetes. She's had major trauma from when she was very young. And we worked together for quite a while, which is not always common. The beautiful thing about PSYCH-K is that you can do a couple of sessions and basically completely resolve an issue. But when someone that's had so many issues and wants to deep dive into the work, it's unbelievable what you can uncover. And she just had unbelievable healing. She went back to have a brain scan from her doctor a year later, and they just were just remarkable that there were certain places that showed trauma that were no longer there. So I actually had someone come back to me with physical evidence of a brain scan that showed that there were issues of trauma that were no longer there. And that was amazing. She was thrilled. I was, of course, thrilled to see this. So that's one of the areas that's most powerful to work with people is health-related issues. I also use that with myself a lot. I actually do work with pets. You can do pets are amazing because they're all energy, and they don't have the beliefs. They don't have the frontal lobe that we have, that we can, like doubt ourselves. And so I surrogate balances if my cat's having some issue, and I can do some balances, and then I've seen within hours, I've seen a difference. So that's really fun. And I can do that also with people across the world. Someone has a pet that's having an issue, and I can surrogate balances, and all of a sudden, wow, the pet is no longer in the emergency room, they're home healing. Now, granted, it's not guaranteed. I don't want to overpromise anything, but these are just examples of, just the power of this work.
Wow, that's amazing. I haven't heard about pet stories, so to speak, from PSYCH-K actually. So that's nice to say, as well as with regards to the body messages that you spoke about. So 2 days back, I started having a right knee pain for some reason, which I've never had. And I was thinking, of course, having access to so many different tools and to this kind of knowledge that, whenever there's a pain in the body is trying to tell us something. And I was like, okay, let me wait for 2 more days and see if the pain is increasing. Then it means that there's a message for me, and then I can kind of work on that. Or maybe I've been doing some aerobics and stuff of that nature. Maybe it's just healing itself or whatever. So it's just slight at this time. But I'm just letting you know that, yes, every time as I think, especially as holistic healing practitioners, having this knowledge, it's like beautiful tools that we have got to kind of take those messages in and release the pain from the body. And for me, every time I've had any kind of pain or any kind of issue physically, I do a healing session, and I literally see that it getting transformed in just few days, usually just in 1 day, which usually kind of surprises me, because other areas of life we wouldn't get so soon confirmation, but when it comes to body, we get confirmation like that. And especially when you spoke about the scan report, it should have been mesmerizing to see that kind of result there. Beautiful.
It was amazing.
So, yes. So tell us a little bit about the services that you offer. Is there any kind of programs, packages, or how long each session would be? Do you do it online? So tell us about that.
Okay, I was doing in-person sessions up until recently, and occasionally I'll still do that. It's always more powerful to do them in person because I can physically muscle test somebody and they're seeing it, and but times are challenging right now. So I do online, I do Zoom sessions. They typically, the first session is usually about 75 minutes long because there's like background stuff that we kind of get into. I do send clients a pre-session worksheet so I can kind of get background, connect the dots, find out what the area that they really want to focus on in the session, because, you know, many times they think it's one thing and I'll kind of start noticing there are some sort of similarities. And then once we kind of talk about it, we can really get to what the underlying issue is, or the root cause is. So then the session is about, yeah, like I said, the first session is about 75 minutes. Then any follow-up sessions are 60 minutes. I do single sessions. I kind of discourage people from doing it. I say, commit to 3 sessions. You know, it was interesting. When I was just doing coaching, I would say, commit to 3 months, right? 1 session a week for 3 months. It's usually around the time that would take to see any sort of transformation. Now I tell clients, commit to 3 sessions. That's how much this work gets to the core and can be transformational in such a short period of time, which is one of the reasons why I incorporated it into my coaching. It's just, you just get results so much quicker. With 3 sessions, you can pretty much really clear an issue in any supporting beliefs. So you can just do, like, we can do new beliefs, you know, they're called goal statements in the balances that we do. You can do a couple of them, the top line, you know, I have more money, money comes to me easily, da, 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 da. But then the supporting beliefs are really, really powerful, such as I deserve to have the money. Or we find out what beliefs that you may have about your ability to earn a lot of money. We can get supporting beliefs, which are really powerful. And obviously, you know, in 3 sessions, we can actually get a lot more balances in, and also any stress triggers, any stress about having money or not having money. People have issues with having lots of money come to them, believe it or not. So yeah, so many times it can just take a couple of sessions, and sometimes people choose to work longer, but it's rare that I'm working with someone for a couple of months. You know, it's like if someone really wants to deep dive, or then they want to go into something else. But that's the beauty of this work. It's not long term.
Wow, that's nice. And changing from 3 months to 3 sessions can really tell us, you know, how much. Of course, I can imagine when it comes to doing a coaching, it's just the conscious work, right? So that might take us so long, but when we directly get into the subconscious and, you know, do the work there, it's like, okay, let's get it shifted all that quick. And what I love about PSYCH-K is, you know, you can take a belief, because I also come from a hypnotherapy background where I had been using hypnotherapy to change beliefs subconsciously of people, where we usually kind of give recording to clients, and we ask them to listen to the recording for 21 days. So that's how long it had taken for me, at least previously, to help change subconscious beliefs. But when I found PSYCH-K, I was like, wow, I don't have to wait for 21 days. Literally, I can do it in 5 minutes. I can change a specific belief in my subconscious mind. All of that was like, wow. So I think at this time I can share my experience with you to the viewers. So my dear viewers, what we did here was Laura kind of did a session for me just prior to the interview, so that I can get to experience and share with you what uniqueness I found, as well as how my experience with her was. So in today's session, for me specifically at this point in my life, what I had done in the past 2 weeks is I wanted to switch my services. As I told you, I'm a holistic healing practitioner as well. I give different type of healings to my clients. So I got to kind of wanted to change the money making model, and I wanted to change it to a donation based model. Previously, I was charging like a set amount, but for some reason I got this inspiration to change it into donation based, because most of the work that I do is like in a group. So for me, it doesn't matter whether it is 10 people coming to the group or 100 people coming to the group. My time is the same. So I felt if I do make it on a donation based model, rather than 10 people benefiting from my services, now 100 or even 1,000 people can come and step in and benefit from my services. So that was a quick reason behind it. But anyways, when I did make this change, there was all of these kind of emotions, or maybe just the stress coming in, that said like, donation based model, who would who would donate, who would voluntarily, send their money, and all of those hidden limiting belief programming that had been hidden for such a long time. But now it's as if I've opened a new box of limiting beliefs about this whole donation based model. So I was in that kind of a stressful situation, and I sent to her the form that said, okay, I changed this model and I feel like, ooh, who is going to give me money now? And then in the session, we took maybe the initial 20 minutes. It was a short 30-minute session, and we did take 20 minutes there to kind of form the new beliefs that which my subconscious would need for me to release these limitations. So the statement that we formed was something like, so that's what usually happens, I feel, in a psyche session, where you tell about your issues, your challenges with the facilitator, and the facilitator helps and you work with them to create new belief statements that you would like to have in your life. So for me, in this case, for me, it was something like overcoming. I forgot, was it overcoming? Or maybe you have the notes there. I'm looking for the second statement there. What is that beautiful?
I am financially abundant, offering my services on a donation basis.
Oh yeah, the second one, I really loved the second statement there. I felt it was unique.
Oh, the second one, offering my services on a donation basis allows me a consistent flow of financial abundance.
Exactly, I was looking for that word offering there. Okay, so offering my services on a donation based model helps me bring in more abundance into my life. So for me, I had this limiting belief, which is like the opposite. The negative belief was something like, oh, if I offer donation based model, nobody is going to give me money, for example. So that's the negative side of things. So then we work on converting that into positive side, which is like, okay, offering donation based allows me to bring more financial abundance. When I do have that subconscious belief, for example, now it opens the gate for me to receive it. So that was a statement we put in. And this creating the statement, I really love that process because we work on each word. For example, there was another belief statement where we created, I love myself to have more than enough money in my life, which has never been the case. I see that I always run into the pattern of just having enough money and never having more than enough. So we created a statement that said, I love myself. For some reason, I felt like I am blocking myself from having that. So I chose that word, I love, and it kind of enlightened me up. So that's the process of creating the belief statement. And once we do have that belief statement, it just takes literally 5 minutes to kind of put that into our subconscious mind, which happens through a process of what they call the balance, where we get into the whole brain state mode through they do different testing, muscle testing, to see what each person has different ways that which we can sit in that helps us get into that whole brain state, is what I believe. So for me, it was a specific pose where I was sitting in that kind of position, and then I was imagining the statement and I was seeing it, kind of feeling it. And then she muscle tested again and it actually came as strong. So what that means is, if it is strong, it means that my subconscious accepts that statement as true. If it is weak, it means that my subconscious accepts that it is false. So initially when we tested the statement, the muscle testing was weak, but later after the process, the muscle testing was strong. So I think I have kind of given you a full summary of how the session happens. Anything you want to share, Laura, on that?
Well, also just the fact that the second statement, okay, so after we balanced the first statement, right, we tested the second statement and it tested strong, okay, without even balancing, which many, many times happens. And this is just really incredible. And what that means is that the first statement took care of, if you will, the statement below, because it was like, okay, when I allow myself to have more than enough money every month, that took care of the concern or the belief of offering my services going to have financial abundance. I mean, I'm just paraphrasing it. And that happens many times. So we can actually identify certain statements that we want to balance for, and we check them. It could be strong because of a previously balanced statement. So that just goes to show you how there are so many layers Oh, sorry about that. It's the firehouse. Oh, wait, 1 second. So there are just layers and layers to this stuff, and how one really powerful statement can just take care of so many beneath them.
Exactly. And I think I didn't mention, when we did the first statement, and I was kind of sitting in this whole brain state, imagining that I could actually, the images that I had in my mind, I think related to the second statement, which was, so when I was balancing for the first one, I was seeing the images of me receiving money on a donation basis from people all around the world, for example. So when you did read the second statement, I could already feel, oh, that's exactly what I already did. So I could really feel, and then you confirmed me by stating, oh, it feels it's already strong. So it was no surprise to me, because the first statement I could feel that it is already taking care of it. So it was a beautiful, surprising, and exciting kind of session for me. So thank you so much, Laura. That was a beautiful, beautiful transformation that you've
Oh,
gifted
thank
me.
you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure working with you.
Thank you. All right. So, my dear viewers, we are coming to the end of this interview. So, if you're interested, I hope you kind of got a full overview of how Laura works and how her powerful healing tools are transforming people. So if you're interested in booking a session with Laura, you can click on the link below this video, and you can kind of have a chat with her, talk to her through email, and ask your questions and see if she can help you, and then also book your session with her. Along with that, we have a beautiful 10% off discount coupon code for you just for watching this video. And the coupon code is 0 Point. So when you contact her, please let her know that you found her through 0 Point Healing, and she will give you that beautiful discount as well. Thank you so much. Any closing words, my dear?
No, well, the only thing I want to say is just know that there's no limit to what you can create, what you can have, there's no obstacle that you can't overcome, put it that way. Our mind is powerful in either keeping us in a certain place or actually creating infinite possibilities. And we have that power within us.
Yes, and I'm the living proof for it, I believe, because that's exactly what I started with. These healing modalities, it's like now, 2 years back, when I didn't have access to these modalities, my life was different. And now I can feel anything that I want to change. I'm like, all I need is to book a healing session, and there it goes. It feels like I can do anything I want in this life. And I feel these beautiful modalities are empowering us to do that. So thank you so much. Thank you, my dear viewers. I'm going to see you in my next show. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please do subscribe and share the video as much as possible to anybody whom you feel would benefit. Especially today, we discussed about how anybody going through any health issues or body issues can actually get help with PSYCH-K. So if you know of anybody going through any kind of major trauma in their life, you can just share this video with them, and just watching this video will give them new possibilities, new hopes. So thank you so much for all your support. I'm going to see you in my next show. Bye-bye. Bye, Laura.
All right.